Assalamu alaikum and hello to my non-Muslim viewers. Today I'm going to be making a very quick video explaining why Shias are not true Muslims. Now you might be, some might think that there's a personal attack against some Shia Muslims or something like that. That's not the point of this video. I'm not trying to make things personal. I'm not trying to have some kind of personal agenda against Shia Muslims. I think Shia Muslims are good people. I've had some Shia Muslims in the past. I've had some Shia Muslim friends in the past, and they are good people. I mean, you go over their house, they'll cook you food and stuff like that. So I don't have anything personal against Shia Muslims. I think Shia Muslims are good people. So this is not a personal attack against Shia Muslims. In fact, I'm not even going to be mentioning any Shia Muslims name in this video. The point of this video is to say that Shia Muslims aren't following Islamic theology correctly. So that's the point of this video. This is not a personal attack against any Shia Muslim. So I want to make that clear. So first of all, what is the major differences between Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslim beliefs? Sunnis and Shias have different views and practices, but the main one, I would say, is who would be the Prophet Muhammad's successor. When Prophet Muhammad passed away, Sunnis believed that Abu Bakr was the rightful successor to the Prophet Muhammad, and he was to lead the Muslim community. Abu Bakr was Prophet Muhammad's closest disciple or companion. The Shias, however, believe that Ali, the Prophet Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, was to be elected as the first caliph or successor and to lead Muslims in all things. And this is the main difference between the two sects of Islam. And Sunnis and Shias tend to argue with each other because of this. So this is the main difference, I would say. Another difference is the 5 prayers of the Sunnis and Shias are different. So Shias pray a different way, Sunnis pray a different way. In Islam, one of the 5 pillars of Islam is the 5 prayers, and Shias have a different way of doing prayer. The Hadith books, and a Hadith is a story, action, or saying of the Prophet Muhammad. And not only Prophet Muhammad, but his companions, and stuff like that. The Hadith books of the Sunni and Shias are also different. So Shias have a different set of Hadith books. Sunnis have a different set of Hadith books, and these 2 Hadith books, like Sunni Hadith book, say different things than the Shia Hadith books, and vice versa. So these 2 sets of Hadith books contradict one another. So Sunnis and Shias don't accept each other's narrations or their Hadith books. So me being a Sunni, if I go up to a Shia and point out a Hadith, trying to argue a point, the Shia will reject that Hadith because they don't believe in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, etc., etc., etc. And if a Shia comes to me bringing a Hadith saying, something like Mutta being allowed or something like that, I would reject it because I don't accept Shia Hadith. Another difference between Sunnis and Shias is the view of the 12 Imams. Ali was obviously the first Imam, followed by the other 11. The Shias consider Ali to be the first Imam. Shias believe the 12 Imams are perfect, the 12 Imams are sinless, etc. Shias say these Imams are perfect, sinless, etc. Just like Sunnis believe prophets, like Prophet Moses, Abraham, David, Muhammad, Jesus, John the Baptist, Adam, Noah, etc. Sunnis believe that the prophets are sinless and, perfect. Well, Shias believe the 12 Imams are perfect and sinless and all that, and they're like this kind of superhuman. So these are the major differences. you know, these are the major differences Sunnis and Shias have. Shias also believe following Ali will save you from the hellfire in the afterlife, and this completely contradicts, you know, authentic hadith, authentic Sunni hadith. The Shia hadith contradicts Sunni Muslim teachings. So, you know, these aren't minor differences; these are major differences. Shias have a different, you know, Shias, they do things differently. They have a lot of different beliefs. You know, another thing that sets apart Sunnis and Shias is the view of Muharram. Muharram was when Hussein, who was one of the grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad, was martyred. You know, so, you know, the Shias, they do extreme things to celebrate Muharram. They'll beat their chest and, you know, slash their kids' head until it bleeds, and they'll do all these kinds of like crazy extreme stuff. And the Prophet Muhammad never commanded Muslims to do that. The Prophet Muhammad never commanded Muslims to cut babies' heads and, you know, have blood coming out and stuff. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad said in authentic Bukhari hadith that Muslims are not supposed to harm or abuse other Muslims. Yet that's what Shias do. They harm their babies by cutting their heads and, you know, beating their chests and all that other weird stuff in the name of celebrating the martyrdom of Hussein, which is completely contradictory to authentic Islamic teachings. But anyways, you have Shia, and then Shias believe different things about the Quran. You have Shias saying the Quran is not preserved, while the Quran says it's preserved in the Quran chapter 15 verse 9. So, you know, and you know, Shias of course contradict Orthodox Islamic teachings, because Orthodox Islamic teachings say that you have to follow Abu Bakr and Umar bin Khattab, but Shias don't. They said that Ali was supposed to lead, not Umar bin Khattab and Abu Bakr. And the Prophet Muhammad said, follow Abu Bakr and Umar bin Khattab in Ibn Majah, volume 1, hadith number 97, page 144. However, the Shias don't follow Abu Bakr and Umar bin Khattab. They follow Ali. They think Ali was supposed to be the first leader, and you know, after the Prophet Muhammad died. But since they're not following the Prophet Muhammad, they're not following the Prophet Muhammad's hadith. They're contradicting the Prophet Muhammad, and they're contradicting the Quran, because the Quran says follow the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran chapter 4 verse 65. The Quran also says follow the companions of the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran chapter 9 verse 100. Yet Shias don't do that. Shias, you know, prefer Ali over the other companions, and they make up these stories of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad. They say bad things about Abu Bakr, Umar bin Khattab, Uthman, etc., etc. They say bad things about Aisha. For example, you know, one example is, you know, they say Aisha committed adultery, but this contradicts the Quran, because the Quran vindicates Aisha of adultery in the Quran chapter 24. So, you know, it's you know, and like I said, the Quran says it's preserved in the Quran chapter 15 verse 9, yet you have Shia saying that the Quran is not preserved. So it's obvious who's following the real Islam that Prophet Muhammad had intended and who's not. It's painfully obvious who's following the true Islam and who's not. The Sunnis are following true Islam because they don't believe in all that, you know, extra stuff about imams and, you know, Ali being superior and all that stuff. And Shias do, you know, the Shias do follow this, you know, made up stuff about Ali and, you know, and stuff. And some Shias go to extreme and, you know, divinizing Ali, saying Ali should have been the prophet that, you know, I guess Angel Gabriel came to the wrong cave. Instead of Muhammad being a prophet, it should have been Ali. And they say all these kinds of extreme things that contradict the Quran and the authentic hadith. So it's obvious who's following the real Islam and who's not. The Sunnis are following the real Islam. So then one might say, well, all that is true and valid. Whatever I just said is true and valid. But then, but some Shias might argue, or some, you know, some Christian converts from Shiism, because you have a lot of these so-called apostates from Islam. You know, they were following Shia Islam, then they became Christians. You know, an example would be Abdul Moray and stuff like that. But anyways, these Christian converts from Shiism will say, well, Shias are true Muslims because one of the points they argue is that Shias are true Muslims because they're allowed to do Hajj. Now, is this a valid excuse for Shiism being true Islam, or being, you know, like a valid form of Islam? I would say no, it isn't, because well, there are two reasons why that argument doesn't work. The first reason is because Saudi Arabia, if you go to Saudi Arabia and you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there's no God but Allah, Muhammad is his prophet, they will let you do Hajj. They don't care. I mean, you know, even Ahmadis are allowed to go and do Hajj, even though the main consensus of Muslim scholars who know the Hadith, who know the Quran, who've studied, you know, Islamic theology very carefully and stuff like that, all the Muslim scholars have come to the agreement that Ahmadis are not Muslims. It doesn't matter what Ahmadis say; they contradict Islam, and the majority of Muslim scholars, you know, view them as outside of Islam. So Ahmadis are allowed to do Hajj too. Anybody who goes to Saudi Arabia and says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, who says they're a Muslim, they're allowed to do Hajj. They can get that visa and they can do Hajj. I mean, the Saudi government doesn't check it. I don't think the Saudi government cares about, you know, whether they're true Muslims or whatever, because they allow Ahmadis to do Hajj too. So, you know, Shias saying Shias are real Islam because they're allowed to do Hajj. Well, Ahmadis are also allowed to do Hajj, but that doesn't mean Ahmadis are true Muslims, because the consensus of Muslim scholars is that Ahmadis are not Muslims. You know, any reputable Muslim scholar will say that. You know, same thing with Shia. So, you know, the first reason why that argument doesn't work is because Saudi Arabia will let anybody do Hajj as long as they say La ilaha illallah. As long as they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there's no God but Allah, Muhammad is his prophet, you're allowed to do Hajj. You can go to Saudi Arabia. You know, they don't care. Another reason why the second reason why that doesn't work is because you know, just because you're allowed to do Hajj, that doesn't mean you're following the Islam that the Prophet Muhammad intended, because Prophet Muhammad intended, like, if the Prophet Muhammad was alive today and the Shias came up to him and they said, you know what, we rejected Abu Bakr, Umar bin Khattab, we followed Ali, we don't think the Quran's preserved, even though the Quran itself says it's preserved in the Quran chapter 15 verse 9, we don't believe Aisha was vindicated, yada yada yada. If the Shias go up to the Prophet Muhammad, if Prophet Muhammad came back to earth and the Shias came up to him and said their beliefs, the Prophet Muhammad would never, ever have approved their version of Islam, because they contradict what the Prophet Muhammad said. And the Quran says follow the Prophet Muhammad in various places. So Prophet Muhammad is like the main spiritual authority. So he would have never approved Shiism if he was alive today. So just because you're doing Hajj, just because you profess that there's no God but Allah, Muhammad is his prophet, just because you're allowed to do those things doesn't mean you're a true Muslim. You see, just because Ahmadis do the 5 pillars, and are allowed to do Hajj, that doesn't mean they're true Muslims. It just means that they're following the 5 pillars, but they're just adding their own extra stuff in there. They're saying they're defending Ghulam Mirza Ahmad. They're defending various views that are outside the fold of Islam and things like that. That doesn't mean they're Muslims. Same thing with Shias. Just because Shias are allowed to do Hajj, that doesn't mean the Prophet Muhammad would have approved their form of Islam. but I mean, the main reason why people are allowed to just go and do Hajj and stuff like that is because I don't think the Saudi government cares. I mean, the Saudi government will allow, anybody there. Recently there's been a ban of Iranian Shias doing Hajj. I was reading about this online, that there's a ban, that the Saudi government has banned Iranian Shias to do Hajj. So maybe that trend of Shias being allowed to do Hajj would be it's going to be banned in the future. Who knows? But just because they're allowed to do Hajj, that doesn't mean they're true Muslims. I mean, the Saudi government will basically let anybody do Hajj. If Ahmadis are allowed to do Hajj, hell yeah, the Shias are allowed to do Hajj. Who knows what other heretical Muslim sect is allowed to do Hajj? Maybe the Sunnis who believe the Quran only, who are Quran only Muslims and reject Hadith and stuff like that. Maybe they're allowed to do Hajj too. Does that mean they're true Muslims even though they're contradicting the Quran? No, it doesn't. I've heard stories of Shias doing Hajj and Ahmadis doing Hajj, and I've heard some stories of even Submitters going to do Hajj and stuff like that. Submitters would be Quran only Muslims or people who follow Rashid Khalifa and stuff like that. So just because Shias are allowed to do Hajj, that doesn't mean they're true Muslims, because Ahmadis are allowed, and from what I heard, Submitters, Quran only Muslims, are allowed. So if these heretical sects are allowed to go do Hajj, then of course Shias are going to be allowed to do Hajj too. I don't think the Saudi government cares about who goes and does Hajj. As long as you get that visa, you're free to do Hajj or Umrah or whatever. You're free to go around the Kaaba and stuff. The Hajj rituals have 2 million people per year, so it's impossible for the Saudi to screen all these 2 million people to see if they're true if they're true Muslims or not. Saudi government just doesn't care. They just care about getting the revenue or getting the money from the Hajj tourists and stuff like that. I mean, Saudi government's corrupt anyways. Just look online, type in Saudi government is corrupt, and you'll get 100 websites explaining why the Saudi government's corrupt. So I don't need to get into why Saudi Arabia is corrupt. It's well known that Saudi Arabia is corrupt. I would never go to Saudi Arabia. I would never go to Saudi Arabia to begin with, because I heard horror stories of what happens there and stuff like that to not only women but to Muslim terrorists and stuff like that. I've heard some pretty bad stuff about Saudi Arabia and Yemen and stuff like that. That's why in Dubai. So that's why I'll never go to those places. That's basically that argument doesn't work, because Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all that, they'll allow anybody to visit their city or do Hajj. They just don't care. I mean, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, all these governments are corrupt anyways. So of course, those governments are going to allow Shias to do Hajj. Why not? I mean, there's no way they can screen. Saudi government just doesn't care who does Hajj. As long as you pay the money, to do Hajj, boom, you can do it. You can go around the Kaaba, you can go shopping, in their shopping malls, you can go to Dubai, you can have a good time in Dubai and stuff like that. I mean, this is not, the Saudi government is not, they're very corrupt anyways. Hell, in Dubai, I've heard in Dubai they have sex clubs and stuff like that, and this contradicts true Islamic teaching. So this is just, this is not a valid argument. Just because you're allowed to go do Hajj doesn't mean they're true Muslims. That's a weak argument. So this is basically what I wanted to say about Shias. Shiism, I don't think they're following true Islamic theology, and I don't think the Prophet Muhammad would have approved their theology. So, I don't mean to be offensive to Shias. I think Shias are good people. I've known some Shias here in America, and I think they're good people, but I don't think they're following true Islamic theology. If Shias disagree with me or whatever, PM me, or email me. We'll talk about it. I hope I didn't offend anybody in this video. I'm just saying these are my thoughts on Shiism. I don't think they're following true Islam. Now, what about Ahmadis? That's a different. That's a different subject for another time. I'm going to make a video explaining why Ahmadis are not Muslims. I'm going to settle that debate once and for all, but that's at a later time. I'm too busy to make that video because that's going to be a longer discussion. That's going to be a longer video. So, I hope I completely refute that idea that Ahmadis are Muslims. So this is my video explaining why Shias or Shiism's not true Islam, or why Shias are not true Muslims. So I hope people can understand where I'm coming from. So that's all I want to say about Islam.